there, everybody. We have everybody here tonight but Jake. And then we have the agenda. I didn't see any additions other than what we had. So we should have a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda.
I have a motion from Rick to approve the agenda, a second from Cheryl. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Carried. Okay. Then anybody for public comment? Okay, anything? Then we have the consent agenda. So Matt, let me turn it over to you. If you have something that you need to go over, Cheryl, you can probably do something on the bills, and then
I'll take the personnel items, and then we can go to Cheryl for the money items. So personnel items that are on there, Ben Borgeting, that is a increase in his FTE from 0.84, 0.83, or 0.84 to a 1.0 per budgeting. That 1.0 was in the budget. Same with Abigail Lorenz. She was a 0.9 last year. She'll be a 1.0 per the 1920 budget. Then we have resignations from Brenda and Samantha. Both of those are pursuing other options. A school nurse contract for Rachel Braun, and the fall coaching and advising contracts. The only thing that the board is being asked to act on there are fall and the full year advisorships. Those are the two items on that spreadsheet that you will approve now. As we get closer to the winter start dates, then the winter, that middle section of the spreadsheet will be updated. That middle section in spring is just rolled over from last year. There are some holes and stuff that still need to be addressed, and Max is working on those as we speak. Then the last is a request from myself. What I would like to do is I'd like to have paraprofessionals have a standardized assignment. There's a host of different assignments for paraprofessionals. Some of them are 6 hours, some are 6.25, some are 6.5. I would like to just move to having a paraprofessional position at Paynesville area schools as a 6.5 hour position, 5 days a week. It does add roughly about $12,000 to the expenses for this school year. That is something that the budget can accommodate, and so that's why I'm asking. If I could have it exactly how I would like it, I would like all of them to have a 6.75 hour. That would give us some more flexibility with what we could have teachers do in the mornings and at the end of the day. But that isn't something right now that we can really swing financially. So I'm requesting that paraprofessionals work a 6.5 hour day. That would mean they're on campus 7 hours, because they all receive a 30-minute duty-free lunch. And that 7-hour shift aligns very nicely with when students arrive and when students depart. And so that's kind of the logic behind it. And then the last one is we have an employee who is applied for medical leave. All the appropriate paperwork is on file, and she would be out from August 5 to November 5, or pending an update from her physician as to when she will be cleared to return to work. Cheryl, anything with the bills, or did anybody have questions on the paraprofessional items? Or
with the paraprofessionals, does that align better with the new block scheduling? Is that part of the reasoning?
I don't really see it being tied to block scheduling. Would I just, for instance, like at the elementary school, students arrive starting at 8 o'clock or a little before, and then dismissals at 3 o'clock. And so it's just nice if we could just align it so paraprofessional hours are aligned with the student day. At the high school here, it's similar. Students start their day at 8:15 and they're dismissed at 3:15. So to me, it just makes logical sense that we tie their contract days to student contact days. Let's get their hours aligned so that we have them here when students are here as well.
Okay, Cheryl, do you have something?
I did go in and look at the bills. It was, it's one of those months when there isn't just a whole lot going on, but I did see the bill for the steam traps, so evidently they got those all in. And we put in some new cement, so we're getting the outside work done in the summertime here, where we won't be messing around with school. Evidently there was quite a bit of patchwork and replacement done with cement. Other than that, everything was pretty much normal. Those just kind of jumped out at me as, wow, we're getting it done.
Okay, any further discussion? Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion from Thomas. I'll do the second. It's a second from Bruce. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Carried. Okay, then we are now on communication items.
All right, so I have a couple of items. So first of all, we'll start with the referendum-related items. Tomorrow night, July 17th, we'll have our second referendum open house, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at the auditorium. You're certainly welcome to come to that. It does sound like there will be probably a better turnout than the first one, so I'm talking to some people, and it sounds like people are planning on being there. So it'll be the same model. I'll do a brief presentation every half hour. When people show up, they can come in and listen to that. We will have people from Ellers there to answer tax-related questions or finance questions. People from UNESCO will be there to be able to talk about the construction process or anything associated with the type of construction. Matt Dickhausen will be there to talk about community ed and community programming and how this potentially could impact community members. And Max Maher will be there to talk about activities and the impact there. And then our new elementary principal, Mary Holmberg, she will be there as well, and to be able to visit with people as well and hopefully start to meet people. And Mr. Orline is not available tomorrow night, so he won't be at that. But it'll be open house model, and we'll run it in a similar fashion to the first one. The mailer. The Paynesville Press is working on the referendum mailer that is going to go out to all district residents. My understanding, Linda and I have been playing a lot of email tag with the press as we work through this, and it sounds like they are going to have a good portion of these ready to go and off to the post office on Friday. The rest of them will either be to the post office on Monday or late in the day Friday. So it does sound like district residents should start seeing those, that informational packet starting on Monday. And probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, that 22nd through the 24th, that's kind of the window that I think they'll start showing up in mailboxes.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, because I thought they were going with the newspaper. They're going to be separate from the newspaper, and they're going to everybody, not just newspaper.
Yep, so they will be separate from the newspaper.
Okay.
They will be addressed to box holder or current resident, so they won't have a name or anything on them.
Everybody will get one.
But everybody should get one. In fact, we're learning a lot about the U.S. Postal Service and what they can do with postal routes and what their limitations are. And so we actually will probably need to be sending some to residents that aren't in our district as well, because of some limitations in being able to break up routes and things like that just logistically we can't change. So yeah, next Monday to next Wednesday is kind of when people should start seeing them in mailboxes at home, at their business. They should start arriving. So that's kind of referendum related. I just want to remind board members too, July 31st, Innovation Center open house. So the makerspace at the secondary school is really going through makerspace phase 2. It's actually, we're going to be renaming it, calling it an innovation center. It really is going to have the equipment and capabilities to really start looking more like a fabrication lab than it actually is a makerspace. The floor is done, the trim is on, they're starting to move back in down there, and just a reminder, if you could get it on your calendar, July 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. will be an open house. We're partnering with the Paynesville Area Community Foundation for that event as well. So there'll be some community foundation members present as well, and it sounds like, I think it's going to be a pretty positive event. I would really encourage community members, parents, if you want to come and check out what Paynesville Area Schools is doing and what's happening and the experiences kids can have at Paynesville Area Schools that might not be similar to their own experience, this would be an excellent event to come to. We will have probably in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 current or former students there talking about what their experience was and how they have implemented different technology, some high-tech, some low-tech, into their work and their area of interest. So mark your calendar, July 31, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I also have a advertisement off to the press as well for that event, so that should appear. If it's not in this week, it'll certainly run next week for that. And then just the last item I have is I just want to update the board on some personnel items. We are getting very close to being ready to go for the school year. We have 3 food service openings that are still out there. That advertisement has been out there. We have some applications, and so it's just a matter of conducting interviews and moving forward with those. And then we have our Innovation Center facilitator. We interviewed today for that position, so hopefully by the end of the week we have that position taken care of as well. Outside of those 2 areas, that's really what we're working with as far as personnel openings, and otherwise we are gearing up here, and it'd be really nice if we could by the 20th of July have all that stuff squared away. That would be a nice thing to have in place. So those are the items I have. If you have any questions, I can try and answer them.
Comment on the brochure. Whoever was involved, and I'm sure you were, I want to compliment somebody on that. That brochure was nicely done. I thought most all the information was there. I think it will give every resident a good perspective of why and what we're doing. So very good job.
And it was a collective effort to get that thing where it's at. So it's had multiple and many sets of eyes on
Well,
it.
then we thank everybody.
Perfect.
So then, now we're student representatives. You have anything
Actually, I
there?
don't have anything. I think students are enjoying their summer. They don't want to think about school right now, but that's
I can't imagine.
around the corner. So.
Okay. Committee and organizational reports. Negotiations are going well. We're meeting with all the groups, and we're proceeding along a nice process at this point. And then West Central Education.
We had our board meeting actually here in this room, which was nice, and we had our first reading of 7 policies. They also talked about the moves. They're still in temporary office, and they're hoping to be in there before workshops begin. Some of the changes we're looking at for meetings is moving the superintendent meeting to the month prior to our board meetings. A lot of us are new, including some of the superintendents, and I think the consensus was we want to be approaching things in a more strategic way versus really operational. Other than that, not much is new. It was mostly talking about the move and the first round of policies and some of the changes we're looking for meeting structure.
Okay, very good. Old business, district goals, I think we're kind of hanging there.
Yeah, they're hanging there. We're going to get to them, but right now they're just hanging there.
Okay.
That's a good way to describe it, Bruce.
We will get to it. We have a lot of goals that we're working on achieving at the moment, and so we'll. Then new business, reorganizational activity and action items. We've got I'm guessing all of these we should approve each one independently?
So you have 2 options. We could go through the 6 of these, the 7 of these, and if you want, you could introduce a motion to approve the 7 organizational activities as presented. We can read through the 7 of them, and then if somebody wants, or if there's a question or concern about one of them, you could make a motion to adopt numbers 1 through whatever, excluding whatever number. So we can do it however you want. If you want 7 different motions, we can do it that way. If you want to wait till the end and do 1 motion, it really is up to
I think we should wait till the end.
Okay.
So do you
want me to just run through them?
Go for it.
Okay. So the official newspaper, it'd be my recommendation to continue with the Paynesville Press. I see no reason why we would not or look elsewhere. Authorization of payment of bills. I'd like the board to give the business manager, payroll specialist, administrative assistant in the district office, and the superintendent the ability to pay bills if it means that we could save either finance or surcharges associated with those bills. Census takers. Every school district needs to have identified census takers to keep census data updated and information logged in our system. This is where we keep track of births in our school district. These people are really the ones that kind of take the point on that. Matt Dickhausen is really the person who's responsible for it, but I would recommend that Matt Dickhausen, Katie Fleischhacker, and Linda Mayer are the census takers identified for Paynesville area schools. Hearing officers for hot lunch. Since we run a federal hot lunch program, we are required to have a hearing officer in case there is a family that files for free or reduced meal benefits and they disagree with the determination that the application, that the district gives on the application. It'd be my recommendation that the superintendent and board chairperson are the identified personnel for the hearing officers for the hot lunch program. School bank, payroll account, we would be at the Central Minnesota Credit Union. Our general account would be at the Bank of the West. Our activities account at Bank of the West. And then we would also like to identify PMA Financial Network, or sometimes seen as PMA Securities. They are basically running our investment right now as we get state aid payments. If we don't need those aid payments for cash flow, PMA will run short-term investments in order for us to maximize our dollar on an annual basis. Commencement date. This is a repeat from the calendar that the board has already approved, but be by recommendation to have commencement on May 31st, 2020 at 2 p.m. at Paynesville Area High School. And then the last item is the fee schedule. If you open up the fee schedule, there are a couple of changes. If you would scroll down to item F and take a look at the meal fees. K-5 lunch would go up a dime, along with middle school lunch and adult lunch. Breakfast fees would also go up the same amount, a dime. We do need to continue to make progress towards closing the gap of what we are charging for our meals and what the federal school lunch program is reimbursing for free meal benefits. And so as long as we continue to lag behind that reimbursement rate, we have to demonstrate progress towards closing that gap. And so that's where this dime is coming from. If you keep going down, there are some recommendations with substitute teachers. I would like to see a substitute teacher rate of $115 per day. Once they are at those 10 days of service, they would go up to $120 per day. Substitute clerical staff, $12 per hour. Substitute custodial staff, $12 per hour. Substitute paraprofessional, $12 per hour. Substitute food service, $12 an hour. And substitute van driver, $12 per hour. All of those anticipated increases are built into the 1920 budget that you have already approved. Those were the rates that were used when that budget was developed. So those are the summaries for the fees. Questions on any of those 7 items?
On the items for substitutes, is that making us a little more competitive?
I would say
When you go for substitute teachers, you're up against all the schools around us trying to get somebody to fill spots.
yeah, I like our position with those rates.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I think that puts us in a good position.
We've been working on that for a while.
Yep. No, I think especially those substitutes that have sub 10 days for us and they're getting $120 a day, that I can think of 1, maybe 2 districts in our area that are paying more than that, and probably 4 or 5 that are underneath that 120 number. So
Okay.
I think that's a good place to be.
Yep. Okay.
Is there a reason why the substitute drivers, teachers, staff is in the fee schedule instead of in contract?
Well, substitutes are not members of any of those bargaining groups, so there really wouldn't be any reason why the district would be motivated to put that into a master agreement. I mean, it'd basically be giving a bargaining group the ability to, the district would have to seek permission to increase or adjust
Okay.
pay for a group, someone that's not even a member of the bargaining unit.
That makes sense.
So and you will see that though in some contracts, you will see substitute rates in there. The place to keep it is right where you guys have it. I would not encourage any conversation where substitute rates would be incorporated into a master agreement.
I was just curious.
Okay. Questions from anybody additional? If not, we could entertain a motion to approve the 2019-20 organizational items as presented.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
So motion by Cheryl, seconded by Rick. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Carried. Okay, next item then is going to be the proposed facility project review and comment. And Matt, I would just...
Yeah, I can just give you a little bit of information. So, excuse me. In order for the district to be able to move forward with our facility proposal, one of the steps in that process is we have to submit it for review and comment down to the State Department of Education. State Department requires the school district to file a bunch of information with them. They want to see exactly what the square footage of our existing facilities are, what the addition is, what our 5-year trend in enrollment is, what our forecast for the next 5 years are. There's a host of different data points that we need to submit to the Commissioner of Education. The Commissioner then will take a look at that, and basically what they're doing is issuing an advisability opinion on a facility project. The good news is our facility project received a clean review and comment. The Commissioner had no findings or anything with our review and comment, and so according to MDE, the project is feasible, and now the next step is the district needs to take that proposal to a election, which is scheduled for August 13th, and we need our public support, and then we combine that with a positive review and comment, and that would be the permission we would need in order to actually sell bonds. So, questions about the review and comment? This is just one of the statutory requirements is that the board has to discuss this. If you have questions, I certainly could try and answer them. The other requirement is we are required to publish page 3 of the letter from the Commissioner in our official newspaper, so that actually will go out in the press tomorrow. You should see it in tomorrow's press. That last page of that review and comment should be in there. And we have to publish it at least 20 days out from the election, but no more than 60 days out from the election. So you should see that one this week if you read the press.
Okay. Then the next item is the appointment of the election judges. So I'm sure we all opened up and looked at that. A little bit more of a technicality, but we have to have somebody there that's been approved as election judges. All those that are on the list are approved election judges. So I guess at this point, we would just entertain a motion to adopt the resolution appointing election judges for the August 13th, 2019 school district special election. And I'll make that motion. Do we have a second? Second by Maggie. Any further discussion?
Is this the normal group of people that are appointed?
So this is actually what our district office did is we just simply reached out to the city. And so these are the election judges that typically do the elections for the city. So we don't really have any say in it. Myself and Carrie are listed as election judges so that we were trained in order to be able to do the balloting with early voting and absentee voting. But as far as on election night, what you're really going to see if you go to the polls is you're going to see the 3 city workers that work most of the city elections. Those are the ones that are going to be at the polls on election day.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, all in favor, say
we need a
it's a
roll call.
resolution. Yeah, roll call.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda?
Ashley? Yes. Rick?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Okay, carried. Establish meeting to canvass election results.
So after August 13th, when we have our election, we need to set a date and time to go over those election results. That meeting cannot happen in the first 3 days after the election, but it must be completed by 10 days after the election. So the window that we've been given, this date has been run by Stearns County, who is really our partner in this and is doing a lot of the election work with us. And August 20th, 2019 at 6 p.m. is the date. I have specifically included in here that the sole purpose of this meeting would be for canvassing the special election results. So the only business that will be conducted at that meeting will be filling out the appropriate election results paperwork and having the board approve those results. Typically, that meeting is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 4 to 6 minutes is how long it takes. So, is that acceptable by a quorum of the board?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to introduce or have Tuesday, August 20th, canvassing special election
I'll make that a motion.
results. However you want to write it, Linda.
Yep.
Okay, we have a second by Rick.
First. Or did you make the motion?
I made the motion.
Oh, second.
And then you have a second by Rick. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Carried. Then we are on the long-term facilities maintenance. So Matt, back to you.
So we are in, this is getting ahead of us a little bit, but we are now needing to file paperwork to get the process going for fiscal year 21. So that would be the school year of 2020-2021. Long-term facility maintenance process needs to begin. The reason it needs to begin is because it's part of our local levy. And so fiscal year 21 is school year 2020-2021. So as a result, they will start collecting property taxes in calendar year 2020. So that's why we're doing this now, when some people look at it and say, hold on, we're jumping a couple school years ahead here. The long-term facility maintenance schedule, the spreadsheet, there's nothing that has changed since budgeting for 1920. The big ticket items that are in the 2021 year for long-term facility maintenance is $200,000 right now is set aside for the softball enhancement. Again, the goal with that project would be to align that to the work that if the facility project passes in August, to align that work with the facility work that's going on. Other than that, right now, that's the big ticket item. We get about $384,000 annually for LTFM. $200,000 of it would be spent on that softball piece. Otherwise, the rest of what's in that 2021 LTFM year is pretty much typical ongoing annual expenses that we are planning for. What you are asked to do tonight is I'm asking you to approve the assurance of compliance. LTFM is a fluid document, so as we move forward, if something needs to change with this will get the process going, but we still have the ability to submit a change or an addendum to our LTFM application if we choose to.
So the motion will be for a resolution approving school district number 7041 long-term facility maintenance 10-year plan.
You got it.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Cheryl. Do we have a second?
It says here a roll call. Doesn't it, or am I reading something?
No, we will have a roll
It's a roll
call.
call.
Well, that's the next one, okay, I'm down too far. Yes,
I'm looking for a second.
second.
Second from Rick. Any further discussion? And then we're back to you, Linda.
Okay, Ashley? Yes. Rick?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Okay, carried. So then we move to Central Minnesota Credit Union credit card issuance.
So with the hire of Mary Holmberg as our elementary principal, curriculum coordinator, each of our administrators does have a district-issued Visa card, debit card tied to our Central Minnesota Credit Union account. It's critical that they have them for purchase requisitions and also. The typical structure for those is that they have a $5,000 limit. The issue or the way we handle this is when we get the monthly statement, that statement is paid off in full, so it's not as if we're incurring any finance charges or anything like that. But in order for the credit union to issue a card to Mary, they need board authorization and minutes from a board meeting that says the board is granting permission. So I am asking for the ability to get Mary Holmberg a district-issued CMCU credit card for the purpose of approved school district purchases.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion from Thomas and a second from Maggie. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Carried. Then we're down to the food service bids. And
So, excuse me. Each year we put out 4 milk and bread bids. I'm a little disappointed in the number of bids. We don't seem to get a whole lot. Pana Gold was our only complete bid and for the bread, and Kemp's was our only bid for the milk. So it's my recommendation that we accept those bids. I'm not quite sure what we would need to do to get some more, but it's something that I'm hoping in the future we can figure out a way how to do that. But my recommendation for 1920 is to approve the Kemp's bid and the Pana Gold bid as presented.
Who puts the request out for the bids? Handle the food service? Or?
Yeah, Lori Nepson takes care of getting the advertisement out there. And then I think in the future what just needs to happen is we just need to have someone dedicated to go call 5 or 6 different companies and see who we need to email the bid to, is what it is coming down to. Excuse me, sometimes some of these companies, once they get into a place, then their competitors just kind of say, well, that's so-and-so's territory, or that's their book of business, and the competition is not as great as we would hope it would be. So,
Do we have kind of a handle on both these bids as far as what % of increase they were, or any, or if they?
yeah, they're in line with what they were last year.
Okay.
I do know that there are 4 other school districts that were just recently talking about their bids as well, and they're very much in line with what other school districts are seeing as well.
okay, do we have a motion? I'll make the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Cheryl. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Carried. And then, I lost myself here. Okay, schedule upcoming meetings is what I have next.
So I just want to make sure that people have these on their calendars. I think I have everybody invited to them. I can double check that after the meeting if I don't. July 25, 7 a.m. right in this room, we'll have teacher negotiations. August 6th, we'll start with paraprofessionals at 7 in the morning. We'll have custodians at 11 in the morning, and then we'll finish up with food service at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Those will all be at the elementary school conference room. And then August 13th, the board has to make a time change with our work and learn session. So right now, we are slated or scheduled to have our work session at 6 p.m. Due to our election, we cannot have a meeting between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. So I see there's really 3 options for the board. One, we could have our meeting and start at 8:01 p.m. That is one of the options. I think we could go and schedule a 4 p.m. start and just know we have to adjourn by 6 p.m. Or we could go and start at 5 p.m. and again, knowing we have to adjourn at 6 p.m. The bulk of what is going to be on that agenda is going to be your first look and preview at the 1920 handbooks. So Mary and David and Max will all be on hand to go over student handbooks and activities handbook and all of that stuff. That is really the crux of that agenda.
We should comfortably do that in an hour.
I think it's very reasonable.
Because we always get it in advance, we all can read it.
Right.
And they usually have it marked for any changes.
I think-
And we propose a 5 o'clock. Anybody, is a 5 o'clock, is that the most convenient or the worst for everybody, or do you want to go after?
Works for me.
5 o'clock kind of working,
That way, if we find somebody
Maybe-
to vote, yeah, we can twist their arm and get them over there afterwards.
yeah.
And then regardless of where we're at
Maggie,
6
you're
o'clock,
okay
we
with
will
5
just
o'clock?
adjourn.
Thomas?
Yep, we can have fun.
Okay, and Ashley?
I can do it anytime, yeah, but as long as it leaves enough time.
Yeah.
And again, now it's a work session, so there's no action.
Right.
You're not approving anything. All this is it's going to be time for those administrators to review those handbooks and answer any questions.
The approval will come up
Personally,
at
I'd
the
rather
meeting
go
afterwards.
I'd rather go earlier, but I think that's a problem for most people, before 5, so 5 o'clock's fine.
Okay. Can we just do it, or? do we need to
Yep,
make
so
a motion?
Linda, that work session will be at 5 o'clock. We will just make sure we adjourn by 6 PM. And so it'll be same location. We'll meet in here. But we will adjust that start time and get that posted appropriately for a 5 PM start time rather than 6 PM.
Okay. The last thing I have is a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Oh, we have a motion from Rick. And we have a
I'll
second.
second.
We have a second from Thomas to
Why, did
adjourn.
Jacob assign somebody? Or something?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry. Opposed, say no. Carried.